Hey, thanks for joining us here on 9 News Watch for a detailed look at your Colorado weather forecast, and we're going to be answering one of your climate-related questions today as well. Meteorologist Bianchi will start things out by taking a look at Denver, where we're continuing with these warm, sunny conditions, at least for the next 2 days, before we get some changes coming up on your Wednesday. And then also today here in Denver, two big things to watch for. One of those, we set a new record here in the Mile High City. The latest first measurable snowfall record has been broken here in Denver. Now, our previous latest first measurable snowfall was back on November the 21st of 1934. Today, for those of you counting at home, it is November the 22nd. So we have officially broken that previous record. Our average first measurable snowfall date is on October the 18th. And by the way here, folks, I was just chatting with my colleague, meteorologist Lauren Robinson, who will, by the way, be on the noon show coming up here in a few minutes as well. We're just talking about it. It doesn't look like we've got really any meaningful chances for measurable snowfall probably through the end of the month. So folks, buckle on in. It looks like we're going to not only break this record, it looks like we're going to smash it. And currently right now here in Denver, it is 63 degrees. I mean, just cooking for this time of year. We're normally right around 51 degrees for an average high this time of year. Keep in mind here, folks, he's probably still got a few more degrees to go. Already up to 63 here in Denver. Those expected forecast highs, 66 in Denver, and that is about 15 degrees above where we should be for this time of year. 67 Parker, 67 Castle Rock, 67 Brighton, 63 Fort Morgan, 64 Boulder, 61 Lyons, and 52 for our friends up in Nederland, of course, way up there in elevation. Now, those temperatures for today and tomorrow, part of our big story, but tomorrow we'll see those winds kick on up and our relative humidity go down. That means we're going to increase that fire danger, particularly along the Front Range. And then there is a slim chance for some snow in Denver on Wednesday, but the Palmer Divide and maybe some of the foothills with a better chance at seeing some of that snowfall. Now, as I mentioned, in the near term, the bigger concern will be the fire weather concerns, where we do have for your day tomorrow a fire weather watch that includes much of the Front Range as well as down through southeastern Colorado. It does not include Denver proper, but just West Jeffco north through most of Boulder County included within that fire weather watch. Currently, winds not an issue. That's why, for the moment, we're not looking at fire danger, at least for your day today. But tomorrow, watch those winds kick on up again, especially for southeastern Colorado and the Front Range. Those winds in some cases could be gusting to 40, 50 miles an hour. Won't be as strong as what we saw last week, but strong enough that we will be looking at that increased fire danger as we get into tomorrow and tomorrow night. Look at that in Denver, 22 mile an hour wind gust. And then this is the real number that matters when it comes to fire danger. The lower this number, at least generally speaking, if you've got some of the other conditions that are in place, the lower that this number is, the increased dry air that we've got. And look at that for us as we get into your day tomorrow. Denver just at 11% relative humidity. That means we're bone dry here, folks. That is chapstick weather as we get into your day tomorrow. 9% Colorado Springs, 8% Pueblo, 6% Lyman, coupled with warm temperatures, gusty winds. That's that kind of three-headed monster we look for that fire danger, or at least that increased fire danger. Dry air mass, warm temperatures, gusty winds, and unfortunately we will have all three as we get in through tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. Won't be a particularly high fire danger event, but as we saw last week with the Kruger Rock fire, unfortunately, all it takes is just enough of those gusty winds and those warmer temperatures and those that dry air mass to generate some of those higher fire danger chances. Tonight, temperatures drop back to around 33 degrees for us here into Denver, so we'll stay above freezing. We do get our next system that drops its way on through starting late tomorrow, bringing a little bit of snow into the San Juans and maybe on up into the West Elk Mountains, so there'll be kind of Vail Pass on west and south, maybe Monarch Pass on west as well, seeing some of that snowfall. So that would be maybe Crescent Butte, as well as down through the San Juans, seeing a little bit of snow, but not a whole lot, unfortunately. We really do need a storm up in the mountains, and we just don't have. I would say tomorrow's system doesn't look exactly too promising, but we get a little bit of snow at least for us starting late tomorrow night. Here in Denver, 65, mostly sun. We'll see some clouds increase probably tomorrow night, but during the day, those winds will be a bit on the gusty side, and those winds increase a little bit as we get through the day as well. And it's another warm day, 60s and even some low to mid 70s for us. And again, folks, 2 days before Thanksgiving, look at these temperatures as we get into your day tomorrow, running way, way, way above where we should be for this time of year. Now, we do get another system that drops its way on through on your Wednesday. And this is the one that could maybe generate a little bit of snow for us here and around Denver along the Front Range. It will bring substantially colder air for us for your Wednesday and perhaps in your Thanksgiving as well. But those snow chances look to be mainly south of Denver and west of Denver. So the Palmer Divide into the foothills, and some of the mountains get in a little bit of snow, but it looks like we will stay snow-free here in Denver, at least for the time being. Now, in terms of those snowfall amounts from this upcoming system, yeah, I wouldn't exactly hold your breath. We're talking about, in the mountains, generally speaking, 1 to 3, maybe 2 to 4 inches worth of snowfall, maybe a bit more favored into southern Colorado, but everybody should at least get in on a bit of snow. Most of this will be on Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday night. And again, the Palmer Divide and the foothills west of Denver with the best chance at seeing some of that snowfall. Now, in terms of Thanksgiving itself, well, it's actually looking pretty nice. We're looking at mostly sunny conditions as we get into your Thanksgiving there, and that turkey going to be a happy one. Well, the turkeys probably won't be all that happy, but I suppose if you're looking to be outside here as we get into your Thanksgiving, you should be pretty happy about this, because we'll be actually up into the mid-50s for us on your Thanksgiving day. That's about 5 degrees above where we should be for your Thanksgiving, so we'll be on the sunny side and on the warmer side. I would say if you're counting on that Thanksgiving dinner being maybe around 2 o'clock, you should be able to have that outside and be reasonably warm. Even 3 o'clock should be okay. Once that sun goes down, it'll feel pretty chilly pretty quickly here. So hopefully that gives you a good idea about what we can expect for your Thanksgiving day itself. Now, I also mentioned we're taking your climate-related questions during the month of November. And the question that we've got for today comes in from Janet Gray in El Dorado Springs. And Janet asks, what percent of climate change is man-made and what percent is natural? How do the experts determine that? So obviously that's a fairly difficult thing to quantify, what percentage of climate change is man-made and what is natural. Now, I would start off with the basic explanation that we've been mentioning for the last little while, that climate change is something that happens. The climate changes with or without man's influence. So you can have a changing climate, but what we're looking at here, and this chart to me tells the best story about it, the global average temperature change has spiked dramatically over the last 120 years, and that is obviously man's influence. So, if I had, in order to give it an exact assessment, that spike is likely going to be 90+% caused by man, if not more than that, if not close to 100%, because, in fact, going back about 200 years or so, temperatures were actually on a slight decline. The fact that they so dramatically reversed, I mean, again, it's hard to assess an exact percentage to answer your question there, Janet, but we're talking 95% plus when we're talking about that dramatic, huge spike over the last 120 years. And again, I think this chart helps best tell that story about what we've seen in terms of climate change. Again, climate is always changing, so we've gotten a lot of questions about that specifically. I've tried to answer that over the course of the last 3-4 weeks or so. But when we're talking about climate change, this is the concern. It's this dramatic spike, and by the way, it's an exponential or an increasing spike as well. So that chart or that figure is continuing to spike on up an even more dramatic and an alarming rate. So that's why this is such a pressing issue and something we've been highlighting all month long here on 9 News. So hopefully, Janet, that answers your question. It's a good one, by the way. Feel free to send in your questions as well. We'll try to answer a few more of those as we head through the remainder of the week and into the remainder of the month as well. Meteorologist Chris Bianchi will leave you with one last look here at the 7-day forecast here, and it is, once again, a warm one with only a slim chance at some snow coming up on Wednesday. I'm Meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks for joining us here on 9 News Watch.